This is the Twins POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Minnesota Twins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on? Back in the lab, back at it. Another Twins POSTCAST right here, Locked On Sports Minnesota Network, your team every day. Just going to be blunt. Your Minnesota Twins looked lifeless today in Game 2 of their final 4-game series with Cleveland this year in 2025. 6 rip. That was your final. Joe Ryan with a below-average outing for his standards. I think that's fair to say. And the Twins' bats were absolutely putrid. 3 hits, 0 for 4 with runners in scoring position. You got me, Luke Inman, at Luke_Spinman, my main man, CJ Baumgartner. Give him a follow on X, at BaumCJ30. Twins expert over at Zone Coverage, MN. And as always, quick plug, go check out our guy, Brandon Warren, with all the daily Twins content you can handle. That's over on the Locked On Twins podcast each and every day. 6 rip, that's your final, 66-88 now on the year. Lots to get into, what we can learn from Joe Ryan's start, just how bad were the Twins' bats today. The offense, again, looked putrid. What we loved, what we hated, a little bit later on. But first, let's just jump right into the biggest turning point from today.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
Yeah, I felt like they were never in this one, CJ. Right from the get-go, Jose Ramirez picks up where he left off last night, by the way. Solo shot. That makes it 1-0 in the first. Then it's Bo Naylor's turn. Very next inning, all of a sudden it's 3-0. And when you put up a collective 3 hits, 0 for 4 with runners in scoring position, 3 runs is enough to bury you. But they added 3 more. But walk us through it from your lens. Biggest turning point today, when was it and why?
Yeah, it really did feel like it was that home run that was given up to Jose Ramirez in the first inning, because the top of the first, it's a doubleheader you have today. You know you got a lot of baseball in you. That first shot gives up. It just takes all the air out of the balloon, especially with the Twins tying it up late yesterday, losing at the last second, and then now again, kind of just getting down early. It just felt like as soon as that home run went, it's like, well, this game's not ours, and that's pretty much what showed. As soon as the Guardians got that first run across and then put a couple more up in the second inning, it just felt like it wasn't the Twins' day right from the jump.
Is Jose Ramirez like the biggest Twins killer out there right now? Like obviously it's typically guys inside the division, right? You think about, I'm going football Vikings, but like Aaron Rodgers for all those years, right? But guys that you play more often than other teams every year. But between him and Naylor today, and even last night, I mean, they've just bodied this team this season, I guess it feels like. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, no, Jose Ramirez has been the Twins killer for the last 15 years. It's felt like, maybe there's the Panercos of years past. You could look at the Maglio Ordonez's or something like that, where it felt like you always gave up a big hit against this guy. And yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is, Jose Ramirez. And by the way, Bo Naylor also becoming that guy as well. Like whenever Jose Ramirez decides to hang it up, Bo Naylor looks like he's just going to carry that torch, because apparently he can't hit unless he's playing against the Twins, in which case he goes off. So yeah, it's Jose Ramirez is a true Twin killer, and this generation's probably.
Rocco Report, give me a move you liked or hated today out there that just was really on the forefront of your mind as you kind of watched today's game unfold. For example, last night, Lou and I on the show talked at length about the decision in the bottom of the 8th, intentionally walking Manzardo, brings up Naylor to the plate, 2-2 tie. Easy to say in hindsight, but not the right move. What happened today, I guess, for good or bad, in the Rocco Report? Did he redeem himself at all at any juncture in these 9 innings?
Yeah, it might be this is kind of a macro one. So again, easy in hindsight to say, but it's Joe Ryan. And it's at this point in the year, he's proven he's healthy. He hasn't necessarily had the best second half of the year, especially post trade deadline. Like, is it maybe, again, why is he out there? Why is he pitching as much as he is? That just might be, again, not that you shut him down completely, but it's just more of the kind of riding with him through all this. He hasn't been great. You maybe just want to get him into the offseason healthy. We know Pablo Lopez had that injury scare yesterday, and he shut down for the season. So I think overall, it's just kind of working Joe Ryan as much as you did. Again, maybe let that foot off the gas. And again, I know you want to get guys out there to win games. And it's obviously from a personal standpoint, Ryan wants to pitch. He wants to compete. He wants to do all that stuff. But it's kind of as the ball club trying to save the player from themselves a little bit, try and get them into the winter healthy. And, again, it's just a leash on Joe Ryan. It felt like, you maybe just got to be a little more cautious just because you want to get those guys going into the offseason healthy so they can come into spring training healthy and ready to go for 2026.
It does have to be a tough balance. And granted, Rocco, the Twins haven't been in this position, just absolutely out of it, total tank job after the trade deadline. In the past couple of years, obviously playoff contention. Yes, last year things got ugly towards the very end, but it's got to be a tough balance to find a way to, not completely shelf all your top players, but at the same time, you don't want anything terrible to happen. We saw Pablo Lopez leave the game yesterday with, sore right arm, forearm, tightness, I think it was. By the way, any update on Pablo, 12-14 hours later?
It sounds like basically they're just going to shut him down for the season. Maybe you'd make one more start. It's like, you know what? It's not worth it. We know Pablo Lopez wants to go, but him missing a couple months already kind of messed up his season anyways. It's best just to kind of take the L on it and move on to the offseason. So Pablo Lopez is shut down. He will not make any more starts in 2025, which is a bummer from a fan standpoint. Same thing. Again, you don't want to shut down Ryan for the fan standpoint of like, it's a bummer. You want to see their best players go out and compete, but also like this is a lost season. You're so close to the finish line. Like you don't need to make any moves that are just going to tank a fresh season in 2026.
Yeah, in the macro for Pablo, by the way, I mean, only one start left, really. So, you're not losing a ton of tread on the tires there. But certainly, again, with your stars at this point, when you look at the Twins roster, not a ton of premier talent. You got to make sure you take care of your superstars for sure. Let's get into what we'll be talking about.
This is what you'll be talking about.
Maybe could go one or two different directions here, but I'm curious, where would you start, I guess, when it comes to what we'll be talking about tomorrow morning when it comes to the Twins game today?
Kind of in the micro level of this game, it's going to be runners in scoring position, like you said, going 0 for 4, having a few opportunities. Keyshaw got a double early in the game, maybe a shot to score, run, get back in it, and they couldn't come up. They had another couple opportunities. Even with runners not in scoring position, you got to run around late, ball double play. Just a lot of stuff that's plagued the Twins post trade deadline. That's kind of what people will be talking about in the micro. In the macro, Rocco Baldelli, what's going to go on with him? Is Rocco safe for this year? And I think that's something that people are going to be talking about over the last week of the Twins season. Is Rocco Baldelli a dead man walking, or will he be back with the Twins in 2026? It's going to be a huge question, kind of one of the biggest storylines that we're going to be watching here over the next week and maybe the few days, kind of week after the season, is will the Twins have a new manager?
Would you expect a move, if they were going to make a move strategically, to happen before the season ends? Or do you think that lingers a little bit, once the season ends, going into the winter, whatever that may be, whatever that might look like, I guess?
Yeah, in terms of the manager, I mean, at this point in the year, you're going to let him finish. There's about a week left, I think. And the only reason to fire a manager in season would be if you're trying to like send a message to the team to get them to play better. If you're like, hey, we're starting to fall out of playoff position, like let's fire this guy. Let's get kind of everybody to kind of resharpen up and get going. But at this point, you've been out of it for so long. If a move is going to come, it's likely going to come kind of in the week following the end of the regular season in terms of a change of manager, just because at this point, the Twins are kind of going to limp to the finish line and try and start fresh in 2026. And remember, Rocco Baldelli only has one more year left on his contract. The Twins picked up his option at some point during the 2025 season. It was announced kind of over the summer. So he only does have one more year left on his contract. So theoretically, the Twins would have to extend him if they wanted to keep him through, because typically managers don't want to manage on a one-year contract anyways. It was a big point in the movie Moneyball, all that kind of stuff. So it'll be interesting to see. We're going to know in the next couple of weeks if the Twins have a new guy roaming the benches in 2026.
What did we learn about Joe Ryan today? Talked about him just a little bit at the top. 5 innings, 6 hits, 4 earned. Probably only one more start for him in 2025. How did he look today? What was working? What wasn't working more specifically?
I think what we learned from Joe Ryan is his struggles post-trade deadline have been real. And again, that could be a couple different things. It could be bad defense. It could be knowing that he has to do a ton. We know that in 2022, he talked about basically like he felt so much pressure on him and Sonny Gray. Where like, if we didn't have good starts, we felt like we were going to lose until I had to pitch again. All that kind of stuff has been weighing on Joe Ryan. And he certainly has not looked like the pitcher he was in the first half. And this has been a trend with Joe Ryan. And I love Joe Ryan. Obviously a lot of Twins territory are big Joe Ryan fans. But also when he gets to the second half of seasons and as the seasons kind of wear down, this has been about the third, maybe even fourth example we've seen of Joe Ryan starting to wear down in the second half of a season. And you kind of saw that again today. So it's just going to be, again, something to monitor if Ryan is back with the Twins in 2025, is kind of trying to find a way to, as the season lingers on, as your arm wears down, as all that stuff comes up, can you still pitch effectively? And Ryan is, not every start has been bad post trade deadline, but certainly he's been less effective than he was pre-deadline. So trying to see kind of Joe Ryan, and maybe he's got one last start to get a good effort on the mound and end on a positive note into 2026. But, today was just another example of Ryan struggling to get through another outing post trade deadline.
How about Thomas Hatch, man, coming in? Rocco gives him a little bit of a long leash, I guess. 4 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, the solo shot. What can we learn? What can we take from those innings he chewed up? And how do you think he looked, I guess, top to bottom overall?
Yeah, no, I thought he did okay today. I mean, I think overall, too, like we talked about on the last show we did together, this is really a tryout for a lot of different bullpen guys going into 2026. And there is going to be openings because the Twins probably aren't going to go out and get a bunch of relievers in the offseason. They're probably not going to spend a ton of money over the winter. So a lot of these guys that are on the roster, a lot of these guys that are making appearances, there's a good chance we're going to see them in 2026. And yeah, even though he gave up the solo shot, gave up the home run, there's still a few things that you can take out of him and be like, all right, we can maybe work with this a little bit here. So again, just something to monitor as we head into the winter.
One last thing, something that we'll be talking about. Twins baseball, 8 games to play. It feels dead right now in Minnesota. It felt dead today watching this game. Like, I know there's guys out there. They're playing the game of baseball. I see them on my TV, but it's just another example, I feel like, of the fans being so clocked out, so uninterested, almost trying to prove a point right now that if the front office isn't going to trot out a competitive team, we ain't coming to watch you. Because this was, we talked about briefly before the show, Gophers bye week. One of probably the last beautiful Saturday afternoons to come out and watch some baseball at Target Field. It looked bare bones in that stadium yet again.
Yeah, the last Saturday home games of the season, too, by the way. Twins are on the road after Sunday to finish the 2025 season. So the last taste of Twins baseball you get for a long winter to come. Not a lot of people excited to go out and see it. And we've seen when the Twins are in playoff races, people will show up. I was at those wild card games against the Blue Jays. Like, Target Field's electric. Twins territory loves the Twins, but you need to give them a reason to come out and compete. And when they go out and do stuff like that, and like you said, the players kind of going out there, they played baseball, but have you ever went to work when you know that like you're going on vacation in a week? You're necessarily not like the most motivated to try and get through. You're kind of like, I just got to get through, just got to get going, and then I'm going to go to Cancun or something like that afterwards.
Biggest success, biggest failure from today. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, today's episode brought to us by FanDuel. FanDuel, the NFL season, it's here. FanDuel's making sure you're ready for kickoff with this can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers, you bet just $5. If your bet wins, you're getting $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. What I love about the FanDuel app, they got everything. Player props, same-game parlay. You can even jump in live as the action unfolds, which I love. You name it, they got it. So quick, it's so easy. Best way to add a little bit more enthusiasm, a little bit more excitement to your Sundays. Are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app. Go visit FanDuel.com today to get started. That's FanDuel.com. You're getting $300 in bonus bets guaranteed when you win your first $5 wager. All right, glass half full, half empty. When it comes to, today's game specifically, let's start with the biggest success, I guess. Can you please find a positive somewhere in all this trash today, CJ? What was it?
Like a lot of Twins fans have been trying to do, finding positives. Usually you end up looking at Luke Keyshaw. He ended up getting a double in today's game, returned a really nice double play, and believe it was the top of the 9th inning. I was able to catch kind of a sinking line drive, get on his knees, and able to throw over to second base as his momentum was kind of taking him towards the first base bag anyways, was able to turn 2 after a leadoff double in the 9th inning. So really nice play for Luke Keyshaw, flashing the leather at second base, and then, of course, getting an extra base hit in the game as well. Typically, when we've been looking for things to be happy about post-trade deadline, Luke Keyshaw is probably number 1 on a bullet.
Yeah, no doubt. He's been the guy for sure. Biggest failure from today goes to who or what?
You probably got to go with Joe Ryan again today. The Twins needing a good start, needing something, especially needing innings, knowing you're playing a doubleheader today and you're going to be basically every pitcher on staff, whether it's the 2 starters today or everybody in the bullpen is expected that they're probably going to be out there and making an appearance. And Joe Ryan only going 5 and not looking particularly strong in those 5 is probably the glass half empty on this one.
Let's end with this nerdy stat of the day. Any crazy stat or fun analytic, I guess, Twins related?
Yeah, well, we were talking about Joe Ryan post-trade deadline. Joe Ryan, and this is not including today's start, which again didn't go particularly well. Joe Ryan coming into today's game since August 1st is coming in with a 4.99 ERA, and his FIP, which is fielding independent pitching, which basically tries to show like, hey, is this luck-based? How's the guy actually pitching? On an ERA scale is 4.33. So basically saying that he's kind of pitching about as good as he's looked, and he just hasn't looked particularly strong in his 8 starts since the trade deadline. Now make it 9. There just hasn't been a ton of great stuff in there, which isn't necessarily ideal if you want him in 2026, or even if you're trying to trade him in the offseason. That's certainly not going to help the value there.
Yeah, well said there. Good breakdown. Twins drop game 2 with just 3 hits on the day. Jose Ramirez, Bo Naylor continue to be just absolute Twins killers out there. 6 rip. That's your final 66 and 88 on the year. Check out all CJ's work, by the way, on X. Give him a follow at BombCJ30, plus all the work he's always putting up over at Zone Coverage, MN.com as well. And one quick last plug for our guy, Brandon Warren. All the daily Twins content you can handle over on the Locked On Twins podcast each and every day. Luke Inman on X at Luke_Spinman. You got games 3 and 4 coming up. Bailey Ober next on the mound. We'll catch you next time. Until then, signing out.